Helmand Province, Afghanistan, March 17, 2014, 0247 hours. The night vision goggles paint the world in shades of green and shadow. Master Chief Garrett Ashford moves through the compound like smoke, his M4 carbine sweeping corners with the precision of 19 years muscle memory. Behind him, 7 men mirror his movements. Ghost Team SEAL Team 7's premier direct action unit flowing through the Taliban weapons cache like water finding cracks in stone. Garrett's hand signals are crisp economical. 2 fingers point left. 3 men peel off stacking on a doorway. His fist closes, hold position. The compound sits 20 clicks north of Lashkar-Gah. Deep in territory where the Taliban don't just operate, they govern. Intel said the cache held Russian-made RPGs and Iranian explosives. Easy in, easy out. 30 minutes max, but the night tastes wrong. Garrett's been doing this long enough to trust his gut. The silence is too perfect. No dogs barking, no distant generator hum. The mud brick walls absorb sound like a tomb. His radio crackles. Ghost 7, this is Overwatch. You have 30 mics to exfil. Helos inbound. Copy Overwatch. Garrett's voice is barely a whisper. He moves forward. His point man, Petty Officer Jake Mercer, reaches the courtyard center. Garrett follows scanning roof lines. The stars above Helmand are cold and ancient, indifferent to the men who bleed beneath them. Then his night vision flickers. Not a flicker, a death spasm. The image strobes, pixelates, goes dark. Garrett rips the goggles off. Around him, 6 other men are doing the same, cursing under their breath. Overwatch Ghost 7. NVGs are down. All units experiencing failure. Static answers him. Overwatch how copy? More static. Then nothing. Dead air where his lifeline should be. Garrett's pulse doesn't spike. 19 years of training won't allow it. He signals his team with a pen light. Rally on me. Check equipment. But even as they move, he knows. Equipment doesn't fail like this. Not all at once. Not 8 sets of military-grade night vision simultaneously dying. Not comms cutting out at the exact same moment. This is sabotage. The thought arrives with crystalline certainty. Garrett's mind races through the chain requisitions, equipment checks, pre-mission briefs. Someone signed off on faulty gear. Someone wanted Ghost Team blind and deaf in hostile territory. The first RPG streaks out of the darkness like God's own judgment. It impacts the courtyard wall 10 feet from Mercer, and the night erupts into fire and thunder. Garrett's world becomes chaos. Muzzle flashes from 3 roof lines, the distinctive crack of AK-47s, his men returning fire tracers drawing red lines through smoke and dust. Contact 3 o'clock, multiple hostiles. Garrett drops behind a low wall, his M4 bucking against his shoulder. Controlled bursts, center mass, training overrides terror. But there are too many. 50, maybe more. This isn't a guard force. This is an army. An army that knew exactly when Ghost Team would arrive. They were expected. They were sold. Mercer goes down first, taking rounds to the chest. His plate carrier catches 2, but the third finds the gap under his arm. He's dead before he hits the ground. Man down, Mercer's down. Garrett's radio is useless. His GPS is dark. The exfil coordinates are burned into his memory, but the helos won't come without comms confirmation. They're alone. 8 men, now 7 against an enemy that had hours to prepare. Another RPG, this one closer. The blast wave picks Garrett up and slams him against the wall. His ears ring. Blood runs hot down his face. Through the smoke, he sees his men fighting, dying. Henderson takes a bullet to the throat. Rodriguez catches a grenade that tears him apart. 5 men left. Garrett's fingers find his secondary weapon. The encrypted phone he carries in violation of about 6 regulations. He activates the recording app, props it against the wall facing him. If he's going to die here, someone will know the truth. This is Master Chief Garrett Ashford, SEAL Team 7 Ghost 7 Element. His voice is steady despite the blood and the screaming and the sound of his brothers dying around him. Date is March 17, 2014. Time is approximately 0300 hours. We are in Helmand Province, 20 clicks north of Lashkar-Gah. Automatic fire rakes the wall above him. Brick dust rains down. Our equipment has been compromised. All night vision failed simultaneously. Comms are down. This is not combat damage. This is sabotage. He pauses, choking on smoke and the terrible knowledge of what he's saying. We were sent here with faulty gear. Someone wanted Ghost Team to fail. Someone wanted us dead. Another explosion. The wall beside him collapses. Through the gap, he sees Thompson take a burst to the legs, then the head. 4 men left. The procurement fraud I reported last month, the equipment discrepancies in the SOCOM contracts, this is the response? Captain Ryan Blackburn and Colonel Marcus Voss are dirty. They're running a scheme through defense contractors, replacing quality gear with substandard knockoffs, pocketing the difference. I have documentation, financial records, recordings of their conversations. Garrett's hands work automatically, pulling files from the phone's encrypted storage, copying them to a backup chip. Around him, his team is being erased from existence. Wilson dies next, then Kowalski, then Briggs. Now it's just Garrett and Sergeant First Class Marcus Wade, back to back in the center of a hurricane of lead and fire. Wade, we're not getting out of here. I know, Chief. When I go down, you take this phone. You get it to Winston Tate. Master Chief retired. Only him. Nobody else in the chain. You understand? Yes, Chief. The Taliban are closing in. Garrett can see them now in the firelight shadows with rifles moving with the confidence of men who know they've won. He speaks faster into the phone. If anyone finds this recording, know that Ghost Team died because we stood for something. We found corruption in our own ranks, and we refused to be silent. Captain Blackburn took bribes. Colonel Voss orchestrated the entire scheme. They sent us here to die. A grenade lands 5 feet away. Garrett sees it, recognizes he can't reach it in time. Kira, if you're hearing this, his voice cracks for the first time. Baby girl, I'm sorry I won't be there for your graduation, your wedding, all the moments a father should see. But I need you to finish what I started. The truth is in the Trident. Find Winston Tate, trust no one else. And remember what I taught you. The grenade detonates. Garrett's world becomes white light and pressure and pain. He's on his back staring at stars that swim and blur. His ears don't work anymore. Blood fills his mouth. Somewhere nearby, Wade is still firing, but the sound is muffled, distant, like hearing gunshots underwater. Garrett's fingers close around the phone. He manages to slide it into his tactical vest, into the hidden pocket behind the plate carrier. The one spot they might not check. The one chance. His last thought, as darkness takes him, is of a little girl with his eyes teaching her to swim in the base pool, her laughter bright as summer. Wade dies 30 seconds later. Ghost Team is gone. Underscore, 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 underscore. Tidewater Tavern, Pearl Harbor, present day, Friday, 21:47 hours. The Friday night crowd is 3 drinks past rowdy and 2 hours from stupid. Kira Ashford moves through the chaos with practiced efficiency, carrying a tray loaded with beer bottles and bourbon shots, her eyes constantly scanning counting exits, profiling customers, noting who's had too much and who's looking for a fight. Training never dies. Even 10 years after her father taught her these habits, they're as automatic as breathing. The Tidewater sits just outside Naval Base Pearl Harbor's main gate, close enough to taste the salt air rolling off the Pacific, far enough to pretend civilian rules apply. It's the kind of bar where SEALs drink, where operators swap stories they can't tell anywhere else, where the walls hold decades of warfare in faded photographs and dusty plaques. Kira's 31 years old, 5'6", with her father's gray eyes and her mother's dark hair pulled back in a tight bun. She wears black jeans and a black polo shirt with the Tidewater logo stitched over her heart. To most people in this room, she's invisible, just another waitress navigating between tables of warriors, unremarkable, easy to overlook, easy to underestimate. She's learned to prefer it that way. The tray she's carrying holds 8 bottles, 6 buds, 2 Coronas, destined for the corner booth where a group of active duty SEALs are celebrating something. They're loud the way only military men can be loud, their laughter carrying an edge of aggression, their voices competing to be heard over Lynyrd Skynyrd on the jukebox. Kira approaches their table. 5 men, all mid-30s to early 40s, all carrying themselves with the coiled confidence of professionals who've seen combat and survived. The one in the middle wears a polo shirt with the SEAL Trident embroidered over the left breast, real gold thread, the kind you earn not buy. Captain Ryan Blackburn. Kira knows his name, his rank, his record. She's made it her business to know. She sets the drinks down carefully, methodically. 6 buds, 2 Coronas. Anything else I can get you, gentlemen? Blackburn doesn't even look at her. He's telling a story about a deployment to Yemen, his hands moving to illustrate a helicopter insertion. The other men lean in, focused on his words. Kira starts to turn away. That's when the tray slips. She doesn't drop it. She's been doing this job for 3 years. Her hands are sure, but somehow it tilts and one of the empty bottles from her previous round rolls off, hits the floor, shatters. The sound cuts through the bar noise like breaking glass. Always does, sharp and attention-demanding. Kira drops to her knees, immediately pulling a small plastic bin from her apron, starting to collect the larger shards. Her face is calm, but inside she's counting her breathing. 4 seconds in hold, 4 out, 4 hold, 4. The pattern her father taught her when she was 8 years old and afraid of thunderstorms. Guess they hire anyone now. Blackburn's voice cuts through the noise, loud enough for half the bar to hear. Deliberate. Kira doesn't look up. She continues picking up glass, depositing it into her bin. Her hands are steady. I mean, seriously. Blackburn leans back in his chair, playing to his audience. Standards must be slipping. Next thing you know, they'll let anyone serve us. One of the other SEALs shifts uncomfortably. Ease up, Blackburn. But Blackburn's had just enough whiskey to not care about easy. Just saying what everyone's thinking. Kira's jaw tightens, then smooths. She reaches for another piece of glass. That's when she sees it. The ring. It's rolled under Blackburn's chair, barely visible in the dim lighting. Silver, but not the cheap kind. The metal catches what little light filters down from the overhead fixtures, throwing back a dull gleam that Kira would recognize anywhere. Her father's ring, the SEAL Trident ring she's worn on a chain around her neck every single day for the last 10 years. The one piece of him she has left besides photographs and memories, and a purple heart gathering dust in a box. The chain must have broken when she knelt down. Kira's hand freezes for half a second. Long enough for her pulse to skip. Not long enough for anyone to notice. She reaches for it, slow, careful. Her fingertips brush the cold metal, her father's ring. The real one, the only one, just as Blackburn's boot comes down, trapping her hand against the floor. Not hard enough to hurt, hard enough to make a point. Well, well. Blackburn bends forward, bourbon on his breath. What do we have here? He lifts his boot. Kira pulls her hand back. The ring comes with it, clasped between her thumb and forefinger. Blackburn plucks it from her grasp before she can stand. Nice prop. He holds it up to the light, turning it slowly. The trident gleams, eagle anchor and pistol all forged into a single symbol. Every SEAL knows that image. Most civilians do too, thanks to movies and recruitment posters. But this one is different. The weight is right. The detail is precise. The wear patterns along the edges speak of years, not weeks. eBay special. Blackburn's smile doesn't reach his eyes. Give it back. Kira's voice is low, controlled. She rises to her feet in one smooth motion. Why? Blackburn tilts his head. This yours. It belonged to my father. Funny. Blackburn tosses the ring into the air, catches it. A lot of people say that. Right before I find out they bought it online and never served a day in their lives. Kira's hand doesn't waver. I'm not lying. Sure you're not. Blackburn examines the ring more closely. Tell you what you want this back. Prove it's legit. Tell me your father's name, unit, dates of service. The bar has gone quieter. Not silent, the jukebox still plays, conversations still murmur in distant corners, but the tables nearby are listening now, watching this interaction unfold. Kira meets Blackburn's eyes. Master Chief Garrett Ashford, SEAL Team 7, 1995 to 2014. Something flickers across Blackburn's face. Recognition maybe, or fear. It's gone in an instant, replaced by practiced skepticism. Garrett Ashford. He says the name, slowly tasting it. Ghost 7? Yes. Died in Helmand Province. Equipment failure during a night operation. Blackburn's voice is flat, reciting facts. 8 men lost. Tragic. It wasn't equipment failure. The words are out before Kira can stop them. 10 years of silence broken in a crowded bar by a man who knows exactly what happened that night because he helped make it happen. Blackburn's eyes narrow. Careful what you're accusing people of, sweetheart. I'm not accusing anyone. I'm stating a fact. Is that right? Blackburn slips the ring into his pocket. Well, here's a fact for you. Stolen valor is a federal offense. Until you can prove this ring belonged to your father and that he actually earned it, I'm confiscating it. For the honor of the Trident. He turns back to his table, dismissing her. Kira stands there for 3 seconds. Her hands are empty. The ring is gone. The last physical piece of her father taken by the man who helped kill him. She turns and walks toward the back of the bar. Her tray doesn't rattle. Her breathing stays controlled. 4 in hold, 4 out hold. But inside, behind her ribs, something ancient and cold begins to wake. Underscore, 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 underscore. The kitchen is all stainless steel and harsh fluorescent lighting. The smell of fryer grease hangs heavy enough to taste. 2 cooks work the line, barely glancing up as Kira dumps the broken glass into the trash. She moves to the small employee break room, a closet-sized space with a single folding chair and a scratched mirror on the wall. The mirror shows her face pale under the fluorescence, her father's eyes staring back at her. For a moment, she sees Garrett instead, his face the way it looked in the last photo she has taken 3 days before he deployed to Afghanistan, smiling, confident, invincible. Dead at 42. Kira's hand goes to her chest, searching for the familiar weight of the ring on its chain. Finding nothing. The chain broken, the ring stolen. The rage that's been building since Blackburn took it threatens to surface. She forces it down back into the box where she's kept it for a decade. Rage is useless. Rage makes you stupid. Her father taught her that. Cold is better. Cold is surgical. The door swings open. Lieutenant Bridget Caldwell leans in, 31 years old, wearing the khaki uniform of a Navy officer, her auburn hair pulled back in a regulation bun. Her blue eyes carry concern. "You okay?" "Fine." The lie comes easily. Bridget steps fully into the room, lets the door close behind them. "That was Blackburn, wasn't it?" They've known each other since high school, back when Kira was just a military brat bouncing between bases, and Bridget was the daughter of a Marine colonel. Their friendship survived deployments distance and dramatically different career paths. Bridget to Annapolis and a commissioned Kira to college debt and a service industry job. "He took my father's ring." Bridget's expression hardens. "The Trident ring, the real one," Kira nods. Her throat feels tight. "What are you going to do?" "What I came here to do." Kira's voice is steady, now controlled. "Finish what my father started." "Kira, I know what I'm doing." "Do you?" Bridget moves closer, lowering her voice. "Because what you're talking about sounds a lot like revenge, and revenge against a Navy SEAL captain doesn't end well for bartenders." "It's not revenge." Kira meets her friend's eyes. "It's justice. The Navy investigated your father's death. They ruled it equipment failure, combat loss. The Navy lied." Kira's hands curl into fists. "And I can prove it." Bridget is quiet for a long moment. Outside the bar, noise continues, laughter, music, the clink of glasses. The world moving forward, indifferent to the conversation happening in this small room. "What do you need?" Bridget asks finally. "Time, and someone to make sure what I'm about to do doesn't get buried. I'm Navy Intel. If I help you expose corruption in the chain of command..." "I know what I'm asking." Kira touches Bridget's arm. "But you knew my father. You know he wouldn't have died for nothing." Bridget's jaw sets. "How much time?" 2 hours, maybe 3. And then everyone in this bar is going to hear the truth. Underscore, 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 underscore. Kira steps back into the hallway, steadying her breath. A figure detaches from the shadows near the rear exit, an older man in a worn leather jacket, SEAL veteran t-shirt visible underneath. He's been sitting in a corner booth all night, nursing the same beer for hours, watching. "Miss Ashford." His voice is gravel and smoke. "Can I have a word?" Kira recognizes him, the veteran who comes in every Friday, always alone, always observing. "I'm working." "Your father was Master Chief Garrett Ashford." "It's not a question." Kira stops. "How did you..." "I knew him, served with him for 12 years, trained him when he was a tadpole fresh out of boot S. Watched him become one of the finest operators in the teams." The man's eyes are clear, direct, weathered face, all hard lines and sun damage. "Master Chief Winston Tate retired. He talked about you all the time. His daughter, his little girl, said you had his eyes and your mother's spirit." Something in Kira's chest cracks. She hasn't talked about her father with someone who actually knew him in years. The people who worked with Garrett are either dead, deployed, or silent. "He died in Afghanistan," she manages. "I know, and I know it wasn't equipment failure." The words hang in the air between them. Around them, the bar continues its Friday night chaos, oblivious. "What do you know?" Kira's voice is barely above a whisper. Winston glances toward Blackburn's table. "Not here. Too many years. Meet me at this address in 1 hour." He slides a business card across the bar top. "An address in Aya, 20 minutes from Pearl." "Why should I trust you?" "Because your father did, and because I've spent the last 10 years trying to find the truth about what happened to Ghost Team." Winston's expression is granite. "I failed him once. I won't fail his daughter." He turns and walks out of the bar, leaving Kira holding the card. She looks at it, looks at Blackburn's table, where the captain is still drinking, still laughing, still wearing the casual confidence of a man who believes he's untouchable. Kira slips the card into her pocket and returns to work. Underscore, 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 underscore. AIEA Oahu, 23:15 hours. The address leads to a small house on a quiet street lined with plumeria trees. The garage door is open, light spilling out into the humid night. Kira parks her 10-year-old Honda on the street and approaches cautiously. Winston Tate is waiting inside. The garage has been converted into something between a workshop and a war room. One wall is covered with photographs, documents, maps, all connected by red string in patterns that speak of obsessive investigation. Another wall holds weapons rifle, pistols, knives, all secured in proper racks, but clearly maintained ready. Welcome to my retirement project. Winston gestures to the wall of evidence. 10 years of trying to answer one question: who killed Ghost Team? Kira steps closer to the wall. She recognizes some of the faces in the photographs: her father, his teammates, men she met at barbecues and birthday parties before they deployed and never came home. The official report said equipment failure. Winston continues. Night vision goggles malfunction. Comms went down. The team was ambushed by superior Taliban forces. 8 KIA recovered 3 days later. Tragic, but not unusual in Helmand province. But you don't believe that. I don't believe all 8 sets of military-grade NVGs failed simultaneously. I don't believe comm systems die at the exact moment of enemy contact. And I don't believe Garrett Ashford, the most meticulous operator I ever trained, would lead his team into an ambush without contingencies. Winston pulls a file from his desk. I requested an investigation. My commanding officer shut it down. I pushed harder. They forced me into early retirement, gave me a pension and a handshake, and told me to enjoy my golden years. He opens the file. Inside are equipment requisition forms, procurement records, financial statements. So I investigated on my own, spent my pension and my time following the paper trail. The equipment Ghost Team used that night came through SOCOM contracts administered by Colonel Marcus Voss. The procurement officer who signed off on the gear was Captain Ryan Blackburn. Kira's breath catches. Blackburn. He was a lieutenant back then, junior officer. But he had access to equipment manifests and he had ambition. Winston spreads documents across his workbench. I found discrepancies. Equipment listed as top-tier military grade, but actually sourced from discount contractors. The difference in cost went somewhere. I just couldn't prove where. Voss and Blackburn were stealing. I believe they were running a fraud scheme. Replace quality gear with cheaper alternatives, pocket the difference. Your father found the discrepancies. He was compiling evidence to report through official channels. Winston reaches into a drawer and pulls out something wrapped in faded green cloth. He unwraps it carefully, revealing a tactical vest scorched, stained with what looks like old blood torn by shrapnel. This is your father's vest, the one he wore the night he died. It was supposed to be destroyed per protocol, but the Marine handling recovered effects was a friend of mine. He accidentally sent it to me instead of the incinerator. Kira's hand reaches out, touching the fabric. It's real. It smells like dust and old gunpowder and something else she can't name. The smell of her father's last moments. Why are you showing me this? Winston doesn't answer immediately. Instead, he reaches into the vest's interior, his fingers finding a hidden pocket behind where the plate carrier would sit. From it, he pulls an object wrapped in waterproof plastic. A phone. Your father was smart. He knew if he died in the field, any evidence on his person would be confiscated and disappeared. So he hid this where they wouldn't look behind armor plating in a pocket so well concealed. Even I didn't find it for 3 years. Winston unwraps the phone. It's an older model, military encrypted, the screen cracked but intact. It's been water damaged. Battery's dead, but the storage might still be intact. He plugs it into a charger on his workbench. If we can unlock it, whatever your father wanted to preserve might still be there. The phone's screen flickers, comes to life. A password prompt appears. Kira stares at it. 10 years of questions possibly answered by whatever's locked inside this device. I've tried everything I can think of, Winston says quietly. Your father's birthday, his service number, your mother's name, the day Ghost Team formed. Nothing works. He made this password something only one person would know. Me. You. Kira's hand trembles as she reaches for the phone. Her mind races through possibilities. Birthdays, anniversaries, addresses. Her father was meticulous, but he was also sentimental. What would he choose? She tries her birthday. Wrong. Her parents' anniversary. Wrong. The day her father graduated, Bud Slats. Wrong. She's running out of attempts. Most encrypted phones lock permanently after 10 failed tries. Think. What would Garrett Ashford choose? And then she remembers. A summer day when she was 8 years old at the base pool. Her father teaching her to swim, counting strokes, making a game of it. She kept saying she couldn't do it, and he kept saying she could, and finally she made it across the pool without stopping. When she climbed out breathless and proud, he'd scooped her up and said, "That's my girl." That's my lucky 7. You're going to be a ghost in the water, just like your old man. Lucky 7. Ghost 7. With shaking fingers, Kira types, Trident 777. The phone unlocks. Winston inhales sharply. Jesus! The screen fills with folders. Audio files, video files, documents, photographs. Everything organized with military precision. Everything labeled with dates and operation names. Kira's vision blurs with tears. Her father knew. He knew he might not make it back. So he built this archive, this legacy of truth, and locked it with a password only his daughter would solve. What's in there? Winston's voice is rough. Kira opens the first video file. The screen shows darkness, then focuses night vision footage from a helmet camera. Her father's voice calm and professional, calling out tactical positions. The timestamp reads, March 17th, 2014, 0247 hours. Ghost Team's last mission. She watches the equipment failures in real time, watches the ambush unfold, watches her father's teammates die one by one while he keeps recording, keeps narrating, building a case even as bullets tear through his team. The video ends with her father's final words. Kira, if you're hearing this, finish what I started. The truth is in the Trident. Find Winston Tate. Trust no one else. The screen goes dark. Kira's hand covers her mouth. Winston stands beside her, silent, giving her space for grief. After a long moment, she opens the audio files. Recordings of conversations, Captain Ryan Blackburn's voice, unmistakable, discussing procurement fraud with Colonel Marcus Voss. Financial details, equipment substitutions, deliberate sabotage, and then the final recording. Voss's voice cold and clear. Ashford found the discrepancies. He's filing a formal complaint. We use the Ghost 7 mission, send them in with compromised equipment, make it look like combat losses. Blackburn, you're asking me to kill 8 men. Voss, I'm ordering you to protect a $200 million operation. And remember, Blackburn, I have recordings of every bribe you accepted. You're in this as deep as I am. The recording ends. Kira stands in Winston's garage holding her father's phone, listening to the moment her world was destroyed. Listening to the casual cruelty of men who traded lives for money. We have them. Winston's voice is quiet. This is evidence, real evidence. We take this to NCIS, to the JAG, and... No! Kira's voice cuts through his planning. What? We tried official channels. My father tried. They buried it. They'll bury this too. She looks at Winston, and he sees something in her eyes that wasn't there before. Something cold and sharp and absolutely certain. Then what do you want to do? I want them to confess, publicly, in front of witnesses, on camera, where the Navy can't bury it, where the media can't ignore it, where everyone who served with my father knows the truth. Winston studies her face. That's not an investigation. That's an operation. I'm Garrett Ashford's daughter. Operations are in my blood. You're a bartender. No. Kira sets the phone down carefully. I'm a SEAL's daughter who's been preparing for this moment for 10 years, and you're going to help me. Winston is quiet for a long moment. Then he nods. Your father taught you well. He taught me everything. Kira's hand goes to her chest where the ring should be. Now we take it back. Outside, the Hawaiian night settles over the island. In the garage, 2 people, 1 old warrior, 1 young woman with her father's eyes, begin to plan. The board is set. The players are in position, and Ghost Team is about to have its reckoning. AIAAHU 0130 hours. The garage has become a command center. Winston spreads tactical maps across his workbench, while Kira downloads everything from her father's phone onto 3 separate encrypted drives. The evidence fills gigabytes, audio recordings, helmet cam footage, financial documents, email chains. 10 years of corruption compressed into digital proof. First rule of operations, Winston says, marking positions on a map of Pearl Harbor. Know your enemy. Blackburn is active duty, still carries himself like he's invincible. That's his weakness, arrogance. He thinks 10 years means he's safe. Kira studies the map. Red circles mark Tidewater Tavern, the naval base Blackburn's off-base housing. And Voss, retired in 2018, lives in La Jolla, now gated community private security. He's paranoid, which makes him dangerous, but also predictable. Winston taps another map showing the California coastline. He knows what he did. He's been waiting for exposure. So we start with Blackburn. We start with you. Winston turns to face her directly. What happened tonight at the bar, that wasn't chance. You've been working there for 3 years. You've been watching Blackburn, waiting for the right moment. Kira doesn't deny it. I needed to see him up close. Understand how he operates, who he drinks with, when he's vulnerable. And losing your father's ring tonight, I wore it every Friday for 6 months, made sure he saw it. Her voice is flat emotionless, and the chain was old. I knew it would break eventually, and when it did, I knew what kind of man he is. He'd take it. Winston's expression shifts respect, mixing with concern. You've been planning this. Since I was 21 years old and the Navy told me my father died from equipment failure. Since I watched them bury 8 heroes and call it an accident. Since I realized no one was going to seek justice unless I did it myself. Kira's gray eyes are steel. I've been patient, careful, and now it's time. Patience is good, but what you're talking about requires more than waiting. Winston moves to the weapon racks. We're going to make Blackburn confess publicly. You need to be ready for what comes next. He won't go quietly. Neither will Voss. Then train me. I'm 65 years old and retired 12 years ago. You were a master chief. You trained my father. You can train me. Winston studies her face, really looks at her, seeing past the bartender exterior to something harder underneath. Your father started preparing you, didn't he? All those games when you were young, the observation drills, the breathing exercises. He never told me why, just said someday I'd need the skills. Kira's voice softens. I didn't understand until after he died. Then I kept training myself. Krav Maga classes, shooting ranges, surveillance techniques. Everything I could learn without military access. Show me. Winston leads her to the back of the garage where heavy bags hang from ceiling beams. Hit this, full force. Kira doesn't hesitate. She steps into the bag with a palm strike followed by an elbow, a knee, a sweep. The combinations are sharp, practiced, brutal in their efficiency. Winston circles her watching. Again, faster. She repeats the combination. Her breathing stays controlled, 4 counts in hold, 4 out, hold. You've had training, Winston observes, but training isn't the same as combat. When did you last hit something that could hit back? Never. Then we start there. Tomorrow, 5 a.m., bring workout clothes and leave your pride at the door. Winston pauses. Because I'm going to break you down before I build you back up. That's the only way this works. Kira meets his gaze. How long do we have? Blackburn hosts a poker game every Friday night. That gives us 6 days to turn you into someone who can walk into a room of SEALs and make them listen. Winston's expression is grim. 6 days to prepare you for an operation that could get you killed. My father had 1 night to prepare his team for the mission that killed him. I'll take 6 days. Underscore, 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 underscore. Day 1, 0500 hours. The gym Winston uses is a converted warehouse in an industrial part of Honolulu. No mirrors, no chrome equipment, no motivational posters. Just concrete floors, heavy bags, pull-up bars, and the smell of old sweat. Kira arrives exactly on time wearing athletic gear. Winston is already there wearing gray sweats and a faded navy t-shirt that's seen better decades. We start with assessment, he says. I need to know what you can actually do versus what you think you can do. Run. He points to a treadmill. Kira steps on, starts running. Winston sets the pace 7-minute miles, then 6, then 5:30. Kira's breathing gets harder, but stays controlled. 15 minutes pass, 20. At 25 minutes, Winston finally hits stop. Cardio is acceptable. Push-ups, go. Kira drops, starts pumping out push-ups. Form is good, back straight, full extension. She makes it to 40 before her arms start shaking. 50 before she has to stop. Acceptable. Pull-ups. She makes it to 12 before failure. Winston watches without comment, making notes on a small pad. Boxing, 3-minute round, full contact, don't hold back. He pulls on worn sparring gloves, gestures her to do the same. They square off. Kira throws a jab, Winston slips it easily. She follows with a cross he deflects. Her combinations are textbook, technically sound completely ineffective against someone with 40 years of combat experience. Winston doesn't attack, just defends, making her work, watching how she moves when frustrated. The bell dings. 3 minutes. Kira is breathing hard, hasn't landed a single clean hit. You fight like someone who learned from videos and classes, Winston says. Technically correct. 0 practical application. In a real fight, you'd be unconscious in 30 seconds. Then teach me to fight for real. Fighting is only part of what you need. Winston pulls off his gloves. Your father didn't survive 19 years as a SEAL because he could throw a punch. He survived because he could think 3 moves ahead, stay calm under pressure, and make split-second decisions when everything was chaos. That's what I'm going to teach you. And we start with pain tolerance. He nods to another instructor entering the gym, a woman in her 40s, compact and muscular, with scars on her forearms. This is Rachel Brennan. She's going to hurt you, a lot, and you're going to learn not to quit. The next 4 hours are systematic brutality. Kira learns to take hits, body shots, leg kicks, controlled strikes to help her understand what real impact feels like. She learns to fight through pain, through exhaustion, through the voice in her head, screaming to give up. She doesn't quit. By noon, she's on the concrete floor, drenched in sweat, muscles trembling. That's day one, Winston says. Tomorrow we do it again. Then the next day. Then the next. Your body will adapt or it'll break. Either way, we'll know what you're made of. Kira pushes herself upright. Same time tomorrow. 5 a.m. Don't be late. Underscore, 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 underscore. Day 2, 0500 hours. Kira can barely walk. Every muscle screams. Getting out of bed required genuine willpower. But she's at the gym at 5 a.m., exactly wearing the same determination she wore yesterday. Winston doesn't acknowledge her pain. Today we work weapons retention and disarming. Someone grabs your gun, what do? The next 4 hours are dedicated to scenarios. Winston attacks with rubber training knives, training guns, improvised weapons. Kira learns to defend, to create distance, to turn an attacker's momentum against them. She gets killed 17 times before lunch. Again, Winston says each time, no sympathy, no encouragement, just the relentless demand to get back up and try again. During a water break, Winston asks, "Why are you doing this?" "You know why?" "I know why you think you're doing it. I want to hear you say it out loud." Kira drinks water, considering her answer. "My father died because corrupt men valued money over lives. They sent him and 7 brothers into an ambush with sabotaged equipment. Then they covered it up and continued profiting while families grieved. The Navy buried the truth. The government protected them. No one faced consequences. So this is revenge?" "No." Kira sets down the water bottle. "Revenge is personal. This is justice. There's a difference. Explain it to me." "Revenge would be killing Blackburn and Voss, making them suffer the way my father suffered. That would make me feel better for maybe a day, then I'd spend the rest of my life in prison." Kira's voice is steady. "Justice is exposing the truth, making them answer for what they did in front of the men they betrayed, ensuring no one else dies from their corruption. That serves something bigger than my pain." Winston is quiet for a moment. "Your father would be proud of that answer." "My father is dead. Pride won't bring him back." "No, but honor might give his death meaning." Winston stands. Again. "This time you're going to disarm me without getting stabbed. Underscore, 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 underscore. Day 3, 0500 hours, firearms training. Winston drives them to a private range outside the city, just dirt berms and target stands in the middle of nowhere. He sets a Sig Sauer P226 on the bench, the same model Garrett Ashford carried. "Your father was exceptional with this weapon, qualified expert every single year. Could put 15 rounds through a silhouette at 50 yards in under 20 seconds. Winston loads a magazine. "Let's see if genetics mean anything." Kira picks up the weapon. It's heavier than she expected, the grip fitting her hand like it was designed for it. She's been to civilian ranges before, fired handguns, but never anything like this. Never with someone who actually expects combat performance. "Basic qualifications first. 25 yards, 15 rounds. You have 30 seconds. Winston starts the timer. Kira aims, fires. The first shot goes wide. She's anticipating recoil. The second is better. By the 5th, she's found the rhythm. Breathe, squeeze, reset. The timer beeps. Winston walks down range to check her target. 11 hits, 4 in the black. Not terrible for civilian training." He returns. "Now we do it for real. Same drill, but I'm going to be behind you, yelling, pushing you, simulating stress. Because in the real world, no one lets you take calm, controlled shots." This time, when Kira aims, Winston is in her ear. "Contact left, multiple hostiles. You've got 3 seconds before they flank." Her first shot goes wild. Winston shoves her shoulder, not hard enough to hurt, hard enough to break her stance. "Move! Shoot, they're killing your team!" Kira forces herself to breathe. She reacquires the target, fires, keeps firing, even as Winston is yelling, pushing, creating chaos. Timer beeps. 9 hits this time, 3 in the black. "Better, your father's genetics are showing. But genetics aren't enough, we need to develop the instinct." Winston reloads. Again, this time I want you angry. I want you thinking about Blackburn taking your father's ring. Channel that. Use it. They run the drill 50 times. By the end, Kira can put 12 rounds in the black, even with Winston screaming and physically disrupting her stance. Good, Winston says finally. Tomorrow we work rifle, then shotgun, then transitions between weapons. By Friday, you'll be competent. Not expert, that takes years, but competent enough to handle yourself if things go wrong. You think they'll go wrong? I think we're about to publicly humiliate a Navy SEAL captain and expose a retired colonel's criminal enterprise. Yeah, Kira, I think there's a chance things might go wrong. Underscore, 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 underscore. Day 4:05:00 hours. Tactical thinking. Winston sets up scenarios using a whiteboard and miniature figures. Friday night, Blackburn's poker table. 40 to 50 patrons, mix of active duty and civilians. 2 exits front and back. Bar has a sound system controlled from behind the counter. Security cameras in 4 corners. Winston positions the pieces. You need to get Blackburn to confess in front of witnesses. How do you do it? Kira studies the board. Direct confrontation won't work. He'll just deny everything, have me thrown out. Correct. I need to provoke him into losing control. Make him angry enough to say something incriminating. How? The ring. I demand it back publicly. Force him to either return it or justify keeping it. Either way, he's on the defensive in front of his peers. Winston nods. Then what? Play the audio recordings. My father's evidence. Let everyone hear Voss and Blackburn discussing the conspiracy. Blackburn claims the audio is faked. AI can fake anything these days. How do you prove authenticity? Kira thinks. Metadata, timestamps from the encrypted phone. Chain of custody documentation showing the phone came from my father's recovered equipment. Better? But you're still missing something. Winston taps the board. You're assuming everyone in that bar will care about evidence. Some will, but others are Blackburn's friends, his teammates, people who've served with him for years. They'll defend him out of loyalty. How do you break that? I can't, not with logic. Kira's eyes narrow. But I can with emotion. The families of Ghost Team, if they're there, if they hear the truth. Now you're thinking operationally. Winston moves pieces on the board. But there's still a problem. Even if everything goes perfectly, even if Blackburn confesses he's still a trained SEAL. If he decides to fight his way out, people will get hurt. How do you contain that threat? Kira considers. We need someone with authority present. Someone who can make arrests legal. Commander Nathaniel Pierce, your father's old commanding officer. He's stationed at Pearl Harbor, works in strategic planning now. Winston pulls out a file. I reached out to him 3 years ago during my investigation. He shut me down officially, but told me privately that he never believed the equipment failure story. If we can convince him the evidence is real, he'll help. How do you know? Because he served with your father for 8 years. Because he's one of the few officers in the Navy who still believes in honor over career. Winston's expression is grim, but approaching him is risky. If he decides we're compromising an active investigation or threatening operational security, he could have us arrested before we ever get to Blackburn. Then we don't approach him until we're ready to execute. We give him just enough time to mobilize support, but not enough time to stop us. Underscore, 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 underscore. Day 5:05:00 hours surveillance and intelligence gathering. Winston teaches Kira how to tail a target without detection, how to photograph documents without being noticed, how to blend into environments where she doesn't belong. They spend the day following Blackburn's routine. He leaves base at 1700 hours, stops at a gym in town, works out for 90 minutes. Showers, changes into civilian clothes. Drives to a sports bar near Waikiki, meets with 3 other SEALs. They drink, watch baseball talk in the casual shorthand of men who've faced combat together. Kira watches from a corner booth wearing different clothes than her usual bartender outfit, her hair down, glasses on. She's invisible. Just another tourist in a bar full of tourists. See how he positions himself? Winston's voice is low in her earpiece. They're using short-range radios. Back to the wall, clear line of sight to entrances. Even off-duty, he's tactically aware. That's training you can't unlearn, Kira observes. Blackburn is animated tonight, telling a story that has his friends laughing. She's close enough to hear fragments. He believes he's a hero, Kira murmurs into her mic. In his mind, he probably is, Winston replies. That's the thing about men like Blackburn. They compartmentalize. The missions he ran were real. The lives he saved were real. In his head, the corruption is separate, a necessary evil to keep operations-funded equipment-flowing missions succeeding. That doesn't excuse what he did. No, but it explains why he can sit in that bar laughing with friends while 8 men are dead because of him. He's convinced himself the ends justified the means. Kira watches Blackburn toast with his companions, watches him smile, watches him live the life her father should have had. The rage is still there, cold and patient in her chest. But now it's focused, sharpened into something useful. Tomorrow, Winston says, we bring in the last piece. Underscore, 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 underscore. Day 6, 1400 hours. Lieutenant Bridget Caldwell meets them at a coffee shop in downtown Honolulu. She's in civilian clothes, jeans, and a blouse, trying to look casual, but her eyes keep scanning the room, nervous. This is insane, she says after Winston explains the plan. You're talking about ambushing a senior officer with recorded evidence of criminal activity in a public space without proper authorization. We're talking about justice, Kira says quietly. You're talking about vigilantism. There are proper channels. The proper channels failed. They failed 10 years ago when the Navy buried my father's death. They'll fail again if we try to go through official routes. Kira leans forward. You have access to NCIS databases. Can you verify whether there's any active investigation into Blackburn or Voss? Bridget is quiet for a moment. Then she pulls out her phone logs into a secure system through several VPN layers. Her fingers move quickly across the screen. No active investigations, no flags on either name. Voss is listed as retired clean record. Blackburn is active duty spotless service jacket up for promotion to major next cycle. So the Navy has moved on. The Navy never looked in the first place. Bridget sets down her phone. But what you're planning if it goes wrong, if the evidence isn't airtight, you'll destroy your father's reputation along with your own. The evidence is airtight. Audio recordings with metadata, video footage from helmet cams, financial documents. My father built a prosecutable case. Kira's voice is steady. I'm not asking you to participate. I'm asking you to be ready. When this goes public, someone in the Navy needs to ensure it's investigated properly, not buried again. Bridget looks between Kira and Winston. You're really going to do this? Friday night, 2100 hours. Winston slides a flash drive across the table. This contains copies of everything. If something happens to us, if Blackburn or Voss try to silence this, you get that information to the media, to Congress, to every oversight committee you can find. Kira finishes. Bridget picks up the drive like it's a live grenade. I could get court-martialed for this. You could, Winston agrees, but you'll also be doing what your oath requires, supporting and defending the Constitution against all enemies, foreign and domestic. Pretty sure corruption in the procurement chain qualifies as domestic enemy action. Bridget closes her fist around the drive. If I do this, I need something from you. After Friday, after whatever happens, you let the system work. You give NCIS and JAG the chance to do their jobs. No more vigilante operations. Kira nods. After Friday, either justice is served or we've failed. Either way, I'm done. Okay. Bridget stands. I'll contact Commander Pierce. Feel him out, see if he's receptive. But I'm not mentioning names or specifics until Friday night. Operational security. Agreed. After Bridget leaves, Winston turns to Kira. Last chance to back out. After tomorrow, there's no stopping this. I don't want to stop it. I want to finish it. Underscore, 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 underscore. Friday, 1800 hours. Kira stands in Winston's garage looking at herself in a full-length mirror he's set up. She's wearing dark jeans, a black fitted jacket over a gray tank top. The body cam is hidden in a necklace, military-grade pinhole lens, 12-hour battery live streaming capability. Winston has already tested it 3 times. The feed goes to an encrypted server, then simultaneously to 3 separate news outlets with time-delayed release protocols. If anything happens to them, the recordings go public automatically. You look like your father, Winston says quietly. Same expression he got before missions. Calm, focused, ready. Kira touches the necklace. He would hate what I'm about to do. He believed in the chain of command, in following proper protocols. He also believed in the truth, and he died trying to expose it through proper channels. Winston hands her a small device, a Bluetooth controller disguised as a car key fob. This connects to the bar's sound system. I bribed the owner's nephew who handles their tech. One button press and you're broadcasting through every speaker in that building. You're good at this. I've had 10 years to get good at it. Winston's expression turns serious. But there's something you need to know about why I failed your father. Kira looks up. March 15th, 2014, 2 days before Ghost Team deployed. Garrett came to me. Winston's voice is rough with old guilt. He showed me the evidence he'd compiled, said he was going to report Voss and Blackburn after the mission. Asked me to be his backup if anything happened, make sure the truth got out. What did you say? I told him to wait, to not rock the boat until he had ironclad proof. To think about his career, his family. Winston's hands clench. I was retiring in 6 months. Didn't want complications. Told myself I was giving him good advice. Really, I was just protecting my own pension. The words hang heavy between them. 2 days later, he was dead. If I'd backed him up, if I'd helped him report it immediately, Winston meets her eyes. 8 men would still be alive. That's why I'm training you. Why I'll risk everything to finish this. Because I have 10 years of guilt to answer for. Kira is quiet for a moment. Then she places her hand on Winston's shoulder. My father chose you because he trusted you. He left instructions to find you because he knew you'd do the right thing eventually. You're doing it now. That's what matters. Winston nods slowly. Your father would be proud of how far you've come. I wish he could see this. Maybe he can. Kira adjusts the necklace camera one final time. Let's go finish his mission. Underscore, 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 underscore. Rusty Anchor Bar, 20-45 hours. The bar is packed. Friday night and payday creating the perfect storm of bodies and noise. Kira enters through the front door like any other patron, scanning the room with eyes Winston trained to catalog threats and exits in 3 seconds. Blackburn's table is in the back corner. 5 men playing poker chips, stacked beer bottles scattered the casual aggression of warriors at rest. Blackburn sits with his back to the wall, just like always. Professional habit. Around his neck visible when he leans forward to collect chips, her father's Trident ring on a chain. Winston is outside in a van monitoring the body cam feed, ready to call Commander Pierce at the first sign the plan is working. Bridget is stationed at NCIS headquarters, prepared to initiate official response protocols. Everything is in position. Kira orders a beer at the bar, pays cash, finds a spot near Blackburn's table where she can observe without being obvious. She's wearing her hair differently than at Tidewater Down instead of in a bun, subtle makeup clothes that don't scream bartender, different enough that Blackburn might not recognize her immediately. She watches the poker game, watches Blackburn win a hand with a full house raking in chips, while his companions groan good-naturedly. He's in his element, surrounded by brothers, confident in his safety, completely unaware that his reckoning is about to arrive. Kira waits. Timing matters. Winston taught her that. You don't move until the target is committed, until backing out becomes harder than facing forward. 2100 hours exactly. Kira stands, walks toward Blackburn's table. Her heart is hammering, but her breathing stays controlled. This is it. 6 days of preparation compressed into the next few minutes. She stops beside the table. Captain Blackburn. He looks up, eyes narrowing as he tries to place her face. Recognition dawns slowly. You. The waitress from Tidewater. Kira Ashford. Garrett Ashford's daughter. The table goes quiet. 5 SEALs looking at her, now poker hands forgotten. What do you want? Blackburn's voice carries an edge. My father's ring, the one you took from me last Friday. I'd like it back. Blackburn touches the chain around his neck. We've been through this. Prove it's your father's, prove he earned it, and maybe we'll talk. I can prove both. Kira's voice is calm, clear, carrying to nearby tables. Other patrons are starting to notice the confrontation. My father was Master Chief Garrett Ashford, Ghost 7 team leader. He served 19 years, died in Helmand Province on March 17, 2014, along with 7 other SEALs under his command. Equipment failure. Tragic. Blackburn's expression is carefully neutral. But that doesn't prove it wasn't equipment failure, it was murder. The word drops like a bomb. The entire bar seems to inhale. Careful, Blackburn says softly. Accusing someone of murder is serious. I'm not accusing someone, I'm accusing you. Kira pulls out her phone, connects it to the Bluetooth controller. Along with Colonel Marcus Voss, you ran a procurement fraud scheme, replacing military-grade equipment with substandard alternatives, pocketing the difference. My father found evidence of the fraud and was going to report it. So you had him killed. Blackburn stands slowly. He's 6 inches taller, 70 pounds heavier, trained to kill with his bare hands. But Kira doesn't step back. You're upset, I understand. Losing a father is traumatic, but conspiracy theories don't honor his memory. This isn't theory, this is fact. Kira presses the button. Her father's voice fills the bar through every speaker, crystal clear, unmistakable. This is Master Chief Garrett Ashford's SEAL Team 7 Ghost 7 Element. Date is March 17th, 2014. Time is approximately 0300 hours. We are in Helmand Province, 20 clicks north of Lashkar. Our equipment has been compromised. All night vision failed simultaneously. Comms are down. This is not combat damage. This is sabotage. The bar has gone completely silent. 50 people frozen listening to a dead man's final testimony. The recording continues. Gunfire in the background. Explosions. Garrett's steady voice narrating his team's destruction while simultaneously building a case against the men who sent them to die. Then a new voice. Colonel Marcus Voss. The Ghost 7 mission. We send them in with compromised equipment. Make it look like combat losses. Ryan Blackburn's voice. Younger but unmistakable. You're asking me to kill 8 men, Voss. I'm ordering you to protect a $200 million operation. And remember, Blackburn, I have recordings of every bribe you accepted. You're in this as deep as I am. The recording ends. The silence is absolute. Blackburn's face has gone white. Around him, his poker companions are staring shocked confusion, the first hints of rage starting to surface. That's fake, Blackburn says, but his voice lacks conviction. Anyone can fake audio nowadays. The metadata checks out. Kira's voice cuts through. Timestamps, encryption, signatures, chain of custody documentation. My father recorded everything and hid the evidence in his tactical vest. He knew you'd kill him. He just wanted to make sure someone would eventually know the truth. One of the SEALs at Blackburn's table stands abruptly. Is this true? Did you? Don't listen to her. Blackburn's composure is cracking. She's a grieving daughter who can't accept that her father died in combat. I can prove it. Kira plays another clip. This time video helmet cam footage from the ambush. 8 men fighting and dying while their equipment fails around them. Garrett's final moments recording his testimony even as bullets tear through his team. Someone in the bar chokes back a sob. Kira recognizes her Sandra Mercer, widow of one of the Ghost Team members. Winston made sure the families were here tonight. Made sure they'd witness this. You son of a bitch, one of Blackburn's poker companions says. Tell me she's lying, Ryan. Tell me you didn't. It was Voss? Blackburn's voice rises desperate. He ran the scheme. I was just following orders. You took bribes. Kira's voice is ice. You signed off on faulty equipment. You provided false intelligence that led my father's team into an ambush. 8 men died, and you've been walking around wearing the Trident like you deserve it. Blackburn's hand moves fast, instinctive, reaching for something under his jacket. Winston's voice crackles in Kira's hidden earpiece. Gun he's drawing. Everything slows down. Kira's training takes over. Her hand finds the Sig Sauer under her jacket. She draws aims all in one smooth motion. Around them, other SEALs are reacting, some reaching for their own weapons, others trying to create distance chaos erupting in the span of a heartbeat. But before anyone can fire, a voice cuts through the pandemonium. Freeze, everyone, freeze. Commander Nathaniel Pierce steps into the bar, flanked by 4 NCIS agents in tactical gear. His service pistols drawn, aimed at Blackburn. Captain Ryan Blackburn, you are under arrest for conspiracy to commit murder, fraud, and conduct unbecoming an officer. Pierce's voice carries absolute authority. Put down your weapon, now. Blackburn looks around wildly. 50 witnesses. Audio evidence playing on loop. Video footage of his crimes. NCIS agents with guns drawn. His poker companions staring at him with expressions ranging from shock to disgust. No way out. Slowly, Blackburn sets his pistol on the table. Raises his hands. It was Voss, he says again, voice breaking. I didn't want to do it. He had evidence against me, small bribes at first, then bigger ones. He owned me. I didn't have a choice. You had a choice. The voice comes from the bar's entrance. Winston Tate walking in wearing his Master Chief dress uniform, ribbons and medals displayed, the Trident gleaming on his chest. You could have reported the bribes. You could have refused the orders. You could have protected your brothers instead of throwing them to the wolves for money. Blackburn's face crumbles. I've lived with this every day. The guilt. 8 families have lived with worse. Winston's voice is granite. 8 children grew up without fathers. 8 wives became widows because you chose your career over honor. Pierce nods to his agents. They move forward, securing Blackburn with zip tie restraints. As they lead him past Kira, Blackburn stops. For what it's worth, your father was the best of us. He deserved better. He did, Kira says quietly, and now everyone knows it. They take Blackburn away. The bar erupts in conversation, 50 people all talking at once, processing what they just witnessed. Sandra Mercer approaches Kira, tears streaming down her face, and pulls her into a fierce hug. Thank you, she whispers. Thank you for not letting them bury the truth. Commander Pierce approaches. Miss Ashford, that was extremely reckless, potentially illegal, and definitely outside proper channels. Yes, sir. It was also brilliant, necessary, and long overdue. Pierce extends his hand. Your father was my friend. I should have fought harder to investigate his death. I didn't. That failure is on me. Kira shakes his hand. What happens now? Now NCIS does its job. We have Blackburn in custody. He's already giving up Voss and everyone else involved. By morning, we'll have arrest warrants for 12 people. Pierce pauses. But there's still work to do. Voss is in California. Getting him into custody will be complicated. I can help with that. It is slow. Winston says. Pierce raises an eyebrow. Master Chief Tate, should have known you were involved. Garrett Ashford was like a son to me. Someone had to finish his mission. Well, his daughter certainly inherited his determination. Pierce looks at Kira. The Navy will want to interview you. There will be investigations, hearings, probably media attention. Are you prepared for that? I'm prepared for whatever comes, as long as the truth gets told. Pierce nods. Then we'll be in touch. Kira and Winston leave through the back exit. Outside, the Hawaiian night is warm and clear stars visible, despite the city lights. They walk to Winston's van in silence. Finally, Winston speaks. You did good in there. Stayed calm, executed. The plan didn't let Blackburn provoke you into doing something stupid. I wanted to shoot him, but you didn't. That's what separates you from him. Control. Winston unlocks the man. Your father would be proud. Kira touches the necklace, camera still recording. We're not done yet. Voss is still out there. And NCIS will handle him through proper channels. You really believe that? Winston is quiet for a moment. I believe we've done what we can from the shadows. Now we let the system work. Pierce is a good man. He'll see this through. Kira wants to argue, wants to insist they pursue Voss themselves, finish this personally. But she's exhausted 6 days of brutal training, years of patient planning, tonight's confrontation. It's all catching up with her. Okay, she says finally, we let the system work, for now. They drive back to Winston's house. Kira's phone buzzes constantly and text messages from Bridget, media requests, unknown numbers. She ignores them all. When they arrive, Winston makes coffee. They sit in his garage surrounded by evidence boards and weapons, reviewing body cam footage from the bar. The families will get closure, Winston says. The truth is public. Blackburn will face justice. That's a win. It doesn't bring my father back. No, nothing will. Winston's voice is gentle, but it honors his sacrifice. Ensures he's remembered as a hero who died fighting corruption, not as a victim of equipment failure. That matters, Kira. Kira's phone buzzes again. This time she looks a message from an unknown number. Ghost 7 Tower 4 sends regards. Your father's last target is still active. Coordinates attached. She shows Winston. His expression hardens. That's a message from someone inside the operation. Someone who knows details that weren't in your father's recordings. A file downloads automatically. Kira opens it. Inside are satellite images, geographic coordinates, and a name. Colonel Marcus Voss, La Jolla, California. Private estate gated community. Someone wants us to know where Voss is, Kira says slowly. Someone wants us to finish this ourselves instead of waiting for NCIS. Winston studies the coordinates. This feels like a trap. Or an opportunity. Winston meets her eyes. We agreed to let the system work. I know what we agreed. Kira stands pacing. But if Voss has warning that Blackburn confessed, he'll destroy evidence. He'll use his connections to disappear. By the time NCIS gets warrants and coordinates with California authorities, he'll be gone. That's not our problem anymore. It's exactly our problem. Voss is the architect. Blackburn was just a pawn. If Voss escapes, the conspiracy continues. Kira's voice rises. My father didn't die just to expose one corrupt captain. He died trying to tear down the entire system. Winston is quiet for a long time. Outside, Honolulu sleeps, unaware that the foundations of naval procurement are cracking apart. Finally, Winston speaks. If we do this, if we go after Voss ourselves, there's no coming back. We'll be operating outside legal authority, outside jurisdiction, without backup. Then something goes wrong, but at least we tried. Kira's gray eyes are steel. My father spent his last moments building a case he knew he'd never prosecute. The least I can do is finish it. Winston stands, walks to his weapon rack. Voss has private security, ex-Blackwater contractors, military trained, well-armed. I know. You could die. My father died seeking truth. If that's my fate too, at least I'll die with honor. Winston turns to face her. All right, we finish the mission, but we do it smart. No cowboy heroics. We plan, we prepare, we execute with precision. Your father's way. Agreed. Winston pulls out his phone, starts making calls. I can get us on a military transport flight to Miramar. Leaves in 4 hours. While he talks, Kira studies the coordinates. La Jolla is 3,700 miles away. 6-hour flight. Her phone buzzes again. Another message from the unknown number. 72 hours. After that, the evidence disappears forever. Kira texts back. Who is this? 3 dots appear. Then, a friend of your father's. Someone who's been watching. The coordinates lead to a safe where Voss keeps his insurance evidence against everyone above him in the chain. Get it before he destroys it. The message ends. Winston finishes his calls. We leave at 0300, and Kira, bring everything I taught you this week, because we're going to need all of it. As Kira leaves the garage, she feels Garrett's presence stronger than ever. The mission isn't over. Ghost Team's reckoning has only just begun. Marine Corps Air Station, Miramar, California. Saturday, 0847 hours, the C-130 transport touches down with a jolt that rattles Kira's teeth. She and Winston are the only passengers in the cavernous cargo bay, sitting on nylon webbing seats designed for discomfort rather than comfort. 4 hours of engine noise and vibration have left her ears ringing, but her mind is sharp. Winston's contact, a gunnery sergeant who served with him in the 90s, meets them on the tarmac with a nondescript gray sedan and a manila envelope. Everything you asked for, the gunny says, handing Winston the envelope. Security patrol schedules, property layouts, gate codes as of 48 hours ago. But Tate, if this goes sideways, I never saw you. Understood. Semper Fi, brother. They drive north toward La Jolla, the morning sun climbing over the California coastline. Winston opens the envelope, spreads photographs across his lap. Aerial surveillance of Voss's estate, a sprawling compound on 3 acres perched on cliffs overlooking the Pacific. High-wall security cameras, a main house, and 2 guest cottages. 4-man security detail, Winston reads from the intelligence brief. 2 on patrol at any given time, 2 resting. Shifts change every 12 hours. Former Blackwater contractors, all ex-special forces, all with combat experience. Kira studies the photographs. Entry points. Front gate is hardened, reinforced steel biometric locks. Service entrance on the north side monitored 24/7. The weakest point is the cliffs. 30-foot drop to the ocean, but there's a maintenance access stairway built into the rock face. Voss uses it to access his private beach. So we come in from the water. At high tide, we can approach by boat, climb the stairs, bypass the perimeter sensors. Winston checks his watch. High tide is at 1400 hours. Gives us 5 hours to prepare. They stop at a storage facility in Oceanside, where Winston keeps equipment from his active duty days. Inside, a climate-controlled unit, tactical gear, body armor, weapons communications equipment. Everything maintained ready. Kira suits up methodically, black tactical pants, boots, fitted jacket with ceramic plate inserts. Winston hands her the Sig Sauer she's been training with all week, plus extra magazines. Rules of engagement, Winston says, as he loads his own weapon, a well-worn M4 carbine. We're not there to kill anyone. We're there to retrieve evidence, and if possible, take Voss into custody for NCIS. Lethal force only if our lives are in immediate danger. Understood. Understood. And if we encounter Voss's security team, avoid if possible. Neutralize non-lethally if necessary. Don't engage unless we have no other choice. Winston nods approval. Your father trained Ghost Team the same way, always seek the path with minimum casualties. They spend the next 3 hours rehearsing the operation. Winston uses the photographs to create a mental map, walking Kira through the approach, the entry point, the route to Voss's study, where the safe should be located. At 1300 hours, they drive to a marina in La Jolla. Winston's contact has arranged a small motorboat. Nothing fancy, just a fishing vessel that won't attract attention. They load their gear, cast off, motor north along the coastline. The ocean is calm, the sky cloudless. Second thoughts, Winston asks as they approach Voss's property from the water. Kira checks her weapon one final time. None. The cliffs rise before them like a fortress wall, jagged rock and sea spray gulls wheeling overhead. Winston cuts the engine, letting them drift closer on the tide. The maintenance stairs appear exactly where the intelligence photos showed them. Concrete and steel bolted into the cliff face leading up to a service gate. They tie off the boat, wait for a swell to bring them close enough to jump to the lowest platform. Kira goes first, timing the wave, leaping across 3 feet of churning water to land on wet concrete. Winston follows. The climb is brutal, 30 feet of stairs slick with ocean spray, the wind trying to tear them from the rock face. Kira's legs burn by the time they reach the top. A chain-link gate blocks their path, secured with a padlock. Winston produces a small device from his pack, an electronic lockpick. 30 seconds of work and the lock clicks open. They're in. The estate's grounds are pristine, manicured lawns, sculpted gardens, an infinity pool. Through the windows of the main house, Kira can see movement. Someone's home. Winston points to his eyes, then to the right security camera on the guest cottage. They stay in the blind spots, moving quickly but carefully across open ground to reach the main house's rear patio. French doors lead into what looks like a study. Winston tries the door handle. Locked, but civilian grade. Another tool from his kit, another 30 seconds, and they're inside. The study smells of leather and expensive tobacco. Empty. They move deeper into the house. Voices drift from somewhere above, 2 men talking, one of them Voss. Kira freezes, hand on her weapon. Winston's signals proceed slowly. Stay quiet. They find the safe exactly where the anonymous tipster said it would be, behind a painting in Voss's study. It's a modern digital safe requiring both a code and biometric verification. Can you crack it? Kira whispers. Winston examines the lock. Not quickly, and if I trigger the tamper alarm, footsteps on the stairs. Heavy, purposeful. Winston and Kira press themselves against the wall behind the door, just as it swings open. A man enters, mid-30s, muscular, wearing tactical pants and a polo shirt with a concealed carry holster. Kira's training takes over. She steps out of cover. Sig Sauer aimed center mass. Don't move. Hands where I can see them. The guard spins faster than she expected, his hand already drawing his pistol. Winston moves from the opposite side, driving the butt of his rifle into the guard's kidney. The man grunts, stumbles. Winston follows with a strike to the back of the head, controlled, precise enough force to stun, but not kill. The guard drops. Zip ties, Winston orders. Kira secures the unconscious guard's hands and feet, uses duct tape for a gag. They drag him into a closet. That was loud, Winston says. We have maybe 2 minutes before his partner comes looking. Then we work fast. Kira turns back to the safe. There has to be a way. Step away from the safe, both of you. Now. Colonel Marcus Voss stands in the study doorway, flanked by 2 more security contractors. All 3 have weapons drawn. Voss is smaller than Kira, expected, 5'9" lean, with the careful posture of a man who's spent a career giving orders from behind desks. But his eyes are sharp, calculating, and his pistol doesn't waver. Master Chief Winston Tate, Voss says coolly, should have known you'd be involved. You've been sniffing around this case for a decade. Because you murdered 8 SEALs to cover your crimes. Winston's weapon is lowered, non-threatening, but his finger stays near the trigger guard. I don't know what conspiracy theories you've been entertaining, but I suggest you leave my property before I call the police. Voss's tone is cold, controlled. Breaking and entering. Assault on my security team. You're looking at serious federal charges. We have evidence, Kira says. Evidence can be fabricated, especially by someone with an axe to grind. Voss's eyes narrow. You must be Ashford's daughter. I'm sorry for your loss. Your father died a hero. Don't tarnish his memory with baseless accusations. Baseless, Kira's voice is steady. We have recordings of you ordering my father's death. Then you should take them to the authorities, through proper channels. Voss nods to his contractors. Escort these trespassers off my property. If they resist, you're authorized to use necessary force. The 2 contractors move forward, but before anyone can act, a phone rings. Voss's phone lying on his desk. He glances at the screen, frowns. Excuse me for a moment. Keep them covered. Voss answers. Yes. His expression changes, confusion, shifting to anger. What do you mean NCIS is at my gate? I have no... He listens, face going pale. Blackburn confessed to what exactly? Kira meets Winston's eyes. Commander Pierce. He moved faster than they anticipated. Voss ends the call, looks at them with something approaching respect. Clever. You exposed Blackburn publicly, knowing he'd give me up to reduce his sentence. NCIS got warrants, contacted local authorities. Then it's over, Winston says. Tell your men to stand down. Let us all walk out of this alive. It's not over. Voss moves to the safe, begins entering the code, with his free hand weapon still aimed at Kira. Because, while NCIS has evidence against me and Blackburn, They don't have evidence against the 14 generals, 8 senators, and 37 defense contractors who are part of this network. The safe clicks open. Voss reaches inside, pulls out a metal case. This is my insurance policy. If I go down, I take everyone with me. Voss tucks the case under his arm. Or I trade it for immunity. Name every corrupt official in the Department of Defense in exchange for witness protection. You won't get immunity, Kira says. Not for murder. Watch me. Voss nods to his contractors. But first I need to make sure there are no other loose ends. The message is clear: eliminate the witnesses. The contractors raise their weapons. Kira moves on instinct, diving behind Voss's heavy desk as gunfire erupts. Wood splinters, glass shatters. Winston returns fire, his M4 barking 3 controlled bursts that force one contractor back into the hallway. Exit, Winston shouts. French doors! Kira scrambles toward the patio entrance, firing over her shoulder. A round clips her shoulder, just a graze, but it burns. She crashes through the French doors in a shower of glass rolling across the patio. Winston follows, providing covering fire. Behind them, more gunfire. NCIS agents must be breaching the front of the house. Voss is running toward the guest cottage, the metal case clutched tight. One contractor stays with him while the other engages NCIS. He's getting away. Kira's already sprinting after Voss. Her legs pump, closing the distance. Voss reaches a garage, hits a button. The door rolls up, revealing a black Range Rover. He jumps in his contractor, following engine roaring to life. Kira raises her Sig Sauer, aims at the tires. Fires 3 times. 2 rounds hit rear tire, blowing out in a burst of rubber. The Range Rover lurches, but keeps moving, accelerating toward a service gate. Winston appears beside her. The boat. If he makes it off the property, he won't. Kira's already running, angling to cut him off. The Range Rover fishtails across the lawn, crippled by the blown tire. Voss is heading for the cliff access stairs. Kira reaches the cliff edge first, positions herself between Voss and the stairway. The Range Rover skids to a stop 20 feet away. Voss emerges from the driver's side, his contractor from the passenger side, both armed. Behind them, NCIS agents are swarming the property, but they're still 100 yards away. Move, Voss orders, or I'll move you. The evidence, Kira says, weapon steady. Give me the case. Let NCIS sort this out. It's over. It's not over until I say it's over. Voss raises his weapon. Last chance. Step aside. Kira doesn't move. Time slows. She sees Voss's finger tightening on the trigger, sees the contractor raising his rifle, sees Winston flanking from the right. Her father's voice in her memory: when you have to take a shot that matters, don't think. Trust your training. Kira fires. The round catches Voss in the shoulder, exactly where she aimed, exactly where Winston taught her to disable without killing. Voss spins, drops his weapon, clutches his arm. The metal case falls, skitters across the grass. The contractor swings his rifle toward Kira. Winston's M4 barks twice, controlled burst to the contractor's center mass. The man goes down hard. Voss is on his knees, bleeding, reaching for the fallen case with his good hand. Kira kicks it away. It's over, she says again. Voss looks up at her, pain and rage warring in his expression. You stupid girl. You have no idea what you've done. The people above me in this chain, they don't forgive, they don't forget. Then I'll deal with them the same way I dealt with you. NCIS agents flood the area, Commander Pierce leading, weapon drawn, a tactical vest on. He assesses the situation in seconds. Voss wounded, but alive, one contractor dead, Kira and Winston standing over them. Secure the colonel, Pierce orders. Agents move in, applying pressure to Voss's shoulder wound while securing him with restraints. Get a medic up here, and someone retrieve that case. An agent collects the metal evidence case, hands it to Pierce. He opens it carefully. Inside are ledgers, USB drives, documents. Exactly what Voss claimed. Pierce looks at Kira. You were supposed to let NCIS handle this. You were taking too long. We got here, didn't we? But Pierce's tone lacks real anger. Though I'll admit your timing was better than our breach. Paramedics arrive, start treating Voss. Another medic approaches Kira, inspects her shoulder. Graze, you're lucky. They clean and bandage the wound while Pierce coordinates with his team. Voss is loaded onto a stretcher, still conscious, still defiant. I want my lawyer, he says as they wheel him past Kira, and immunity. You just tried to kill 2 civilians, Pierce replies. You'll be lucky if we don't add attempted murder to your charges. Your immunity negotiation just became a lot more complicated, Colonel. Winston appears at Kira's side. You did good. Textbook disabling shot. Your father would be proud. I'm not proud. I'm tired. Kira sits down heavily on the grass. Is it really over now? The operational phase is over. Now comes the legal phase: investigations, hearings, trials. Winston sits beside her. But the mission your father started, that's complete. The truth is exposed. The guilty will face justice. Pierce approaches, phone in hand. That was the Attorney General's office. They're fast-tracking prosecution for everyone involved. Voss's evidence confirms this corruption goes all the way to the Pentagon. Biggest military fraud case in 50 years. What about immunity for Voss, Kira asks. Unlikely now. He tried to flee, engaged in armed conflict. Plus, we have Blackburn's testimony, your father's recordings, and now Voss's own evidence files. We don't need his cooperation. I want to be there, Kira says, at the trial. You'll be our star witness. Pierce offers his hand, helps her to her feet. But first, we need to get you to a hospital. An agent approaches Pierce, hands him an evidence bag. Inside, Garrett Ashford's Trident ring recovered from Blackburn's confiscated personal effects. Pierce passes the bag to Kira. I believe this belongs to you. Kira opens the bag with shaking hands, pulls out the ring. Silver, worn smooth by years of wear, the trident gleaming. She turns it over, finds the inscription on the inner band. Garrett Ashford, ghost 7 inches. Her father's legacy returned at last. Thank you, she manages. Thank your father. He built the case that made all this possible. Pierce looks out at the ocean. 8 good men died in Helmand Province. For 10 years, their deaths were listed as equipment failure. Now their families will know the truth. Underscore, 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 underscore. 6 months later, Arlington National Cemetery, Virginia, the November sky is gray and heavy with the promise of rain. Kira stands before her father's grave wearing a borrowed Navy dress uniform. The uniform fits perfectly, the medals gleaming on her chest. Not hers, but her father's, transferred posthumously. The headstone is new, replaced just last week. Master Chief Garrett Ashford, SEAL Team 7, Ghost. 7/19/72 to 2014. Hero father, truth seeker, died exposing corruption. His sacrifice saved countless lives. Around Kira, the families of the other 7 Ghost Team members gather. 8 graves, 8 families, united in grief, and now finally in truth. Sandra Mercer stands beside Kira. Thank you, she says quietly, for not letting them be forgotten. They were my father's brothers, Kira replies. Finishing his mission was the least I could do. A Navy Honor Guard performs a memorial ceremony. The 21-gun salute echoes across Arlington's fields. Taps plays mournful and clear. Commander Pierce presents each family with a Navy Cross posthumously awarded. When Pierce places Garrett's Navy Cross in Kira's hands, he leans in close. Your father would be incredibly proud. I just wanted the truth. That's all your father wanted too, and now the whole world knows it. After the ceremony, Kira remains alone before her father's grave. She touches the ring on the chain around her neck, worn every day since La Jolla, just like before. For a moment, she considers leaving it here, letting it rest with her father. But no, Garrett left it for her. A reminder. A promise to continue the fight. She tucks it back under her uniform. I'm keeping this, Dad, she whispers, keeping the promise. Footsteps on grass. Winston approaches, also in dress uniform, his Master Chief insignia, and decades of ribbons on display. The Navy wants to talk to you, he says finally, about a position. I know. Commander Pierce mentioned it. Kira doesn't take her eyes off the headstone. NCIS criminal investigator. It's a good offer. Your father would approve continuing his work protecting service members from the kind of corruption that killed him. I haven't decided yet. What's holding you back? Kira considers the question. For 10 years, I've had one goal: expose the truth about my father's death. Now that it's done, I'm not sure who I am without that mission driving me. You're Garrett Ashford's daughter. That means you're someone who doesn't quit when things get hard. Someone who values truth over convenience. Winston pauses. But it also means you're allowed to rest. You've earned it. Did my father rest? No. And look where that got him. Winston's voice is gentle but firm. Know when to fight and when to live. More footsteps. Bridget Caldwell appears, also in dress uniform now. Lieutenant Commander. Sorry I'm late. Congressional hearing ran long. She stands on Kira's other side. They spent 4 hours grilling me about operational security. Apparently exposing massive corruption makes people nervous. Good, Kira says. They should be nervous. Bridget pulls an envelope from her jacket. This came through official channels, for you. Kira opens it. Inside is a letter on Department of the Navy letterhead. She reads in silence. They're offering me a civilian consultant position, she says slowly, not NCIS investigator special advisor to the Inspector General's office, reviewing procurement contracts, identifying potential fraud. That's a bigger job than NCIS, Winston observes. More responsibility, more impact. It's also a target on my back. If I take this position, I'll be investigating people with serious power. True, Bridget agrees. But you'll also have the full authority of the Inspector General's office behind you. And you won't be alone. Kira looks at the letter again. The mission is meaningful, protecting service members from the corruption that killed her father. But it's dangerous, consuming. Can I think about it? Take all the time you need, Bridget says. Though between you and me, I think you already know what you're going to do. What makes you say that? Because you're standing at your father's grave wearing a uniform you fought 10 years to earn the right to wear. Because walking away from the fight isn't in your DNA. Kira can't argue with that logic. They stand together in silence as the first raindrops begin to fall. Finally, Kira speaks. I'll take the position, but on one condition. What's that? Winston asks. You come out of retirement. Be my advisor, my mentor. Kira meets his eyes. My father trusted you. I trust you. I need someone who won't let me make the same mistakes that got him killed. Winston is quiet for a long moment. Then he nods. I've been retired for 12 years. Been waiting for something worth coming back for. I think I just found it. Bridget grins. This is either the best idea or the worst idea. Probably both, Kira admits. But that's never stopped me before. The rain intensifies, but none of them move. They stand vigil at Garrett Ashford's grave, at the graves of 8 heroes who died seeking truth in a system designed to hide it. After a while, Winston pulls a small wooden box from his coat. Your father left this with me before his final deployment. Said if anything happened, I should give it to you when you were ready. I think you're ready now. Kira opens the box with trembling hands. Inside are her father's dog tags and a letter. Her name on the envelope in Garrett's distinctive handwriting. She reads it there in the rain while Winston and Bridget stand guard. Kira, if you're reading this, I didn't make it back from Afghanistan. I'm sorry. Sorry I won't be there for all the moments a father should witness. But I'm not sorry for what I'm about to do. I found corruption men who value profit over lives. I can't let that stand, even if it costs me everything. I'm building a case, evidence recordings, documentation. I'm hiding it where only you can find it. If you find this evidence, you have a choice. You can turn it over to the authorities, or you can bury it and move on with your life. I won't judge you either way. Being my daughter shouldn't mean inheriting my battles. But if you choose to fight, and knowing you, you probably will remember what I taught you. Truth matters more than comfort. Honor matters more than career. Protecting the innocent matters more than protecting the institution. Be smart. Be patient. Trust no one except Winston Tate. He's the only man I know who can't be bought or intimidated. I love you, Kira. I'm proud of you. And I know that whatever path you choose, you'll walk it with integrity. The fight for honor never ends. But you don't fight alone. Semper Fidelis, Dad. Kira folds the letter carefully and tucks it back in the box with the dog tags. Her eyes are wet rain or tears, she's not sure anymore. He knew, she says quietly. He knew they'd kill him. Yes, Winston confirms. I tried to talk him out of it, but Garrett said he'd already waited too long. That every day the corruption continued was another day soldiers were at risk. He chose the mission over himself. He chose the truth, same as you just did. Winston places a hand on her shoulder. But unlike your father, you're not going into this fight alone. You've got backup now. Bridget nods. The Inspector General's office has been waiting for someone like you. With your story, your father's evidence, and the Ghost Team case's precedent, you'll have real power to change things. Or get myself killed trying. That's always a risk, Winston admits, but it's a risk worth taking. Kira puts the dog tags on, feeling the weight of them against her chest. Her father's legacy. Okay, she says, I'm in. Let's do this right. For Ghost Team, for every service member who trusted the system to protect them. For the truth, they walk through Arlington together. 3 warriors of different generations, united by shared purpose. Behind them, 8 graves stand in silent testimony to the cost of corruption and the price of exposing it. The rain continues to fall, washing the headstones clean. Underscore, 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 underscore. Epilogue. 1 year later, the conference room in the Pentagon is austere white walls, government-issue furniture, fluorescent lighting. Kira sits at a long table laptop open presenting findings to an audience of generals, admirals, and civilian oversight officials. In the past 12 months, the Inspector General's office has identified procurement fraud totaling $2.3 billion, she says. 17 defense contractors are under investigation. 23 officers have been referred for court-martial, and we've implemented new oversight protocols. A three-star admiral raises his hand. Miss Ashford, these investigations have caused significant disruption. How do you justify the cost? Kira meets his eyes without flinching. The cost of corruption is measured in lives, Admiral. In the case of Ghost Team 8, SEALs died with sabotaged equipment. Our investigation found 14 other instances where compromised gear led to casualties. That's 43 service members dead because someone wanted to save money. I'd say investigating that is worth some disruption. The Admiral has no response. The presentation continues. By the end, even the skeptical officials are nodding. Afterward, a two-star general approaches Kira. I served with your father. Garrett was one of the finest operators I knew. He'd be proud. Thank you, sir. But be careful. The people you're investigating, some have long memories and short ethics. Watch your back. I always do. That evening, Kira returns to her apartment in Arlington. She sits on her balcony processing the day. A year ago, she was a bartender with a vendetta. Now she's a federal investigator with genuine power to change things. Her phone buzzes, a text from an unknown number. Good work on the Pentagon presentation. Your father's legacy is in capable hands. Kira stares at the message. The unknown contact who's been feeding her intelligence over the past year. She texts back, who are you? The response comes immediately. A friend, someone who served with Ghost Team, someone who's been fighting this corruption from the inside while you fight from the outside. Why not reveal yourself? Because I'm more useful in the shadows. Keep doing what you're doing, Kira. The fight isn't over. I'll help however I can. The contact goes offline. 3 days later, a package arrives. No return address. Inside, a faded photograph. Ghost Team 2013, all 9 members in full gear. Her father in the center, and on the back handwritten, Tower 4 was Marcus Wade's call sign. Before he died beside your father in Helmand, he made me promise if the truth was ever buried, I'd make sure someone found it again. You found it, Kira. Garrett would be proud. The fight continues, but you're not alone. A friend who keeps promises. Kira studies the photograph. 9 men, 8 dead, 1 survivor who's spent a decade working from inside the system to expose the corruption that killed his brothers. She tucks the photo into her desk drawer next to her father's dog tags. Some mysteries don't need solving. Some allies are better left in shadows. Kira opens her laptop, starts reviewing files for tomorrow's investigation. The work never ends, but that's fine. Her father spent his life fighting for integrity in the military. She can honor that by continuing the fight. On her desk, Garrett's dog tags catch the lamplight. Beside them, the Trident ring. Ghost Team got their justice. Now she's making sure no other team has to die seeking the same. Outside, Arlington sleeps. 8 graves among thousands, no longer forgotten, no longer dismissed as mere casualties of war. Heroes recognized, truth exposed, honor restored. Garrett Ashford's mission is complete. His daughter's mission has only just begun.